Hey, this is Curtis here with KTF, and today we're going to be doing the tournament roundup for the week of May 12th to the May 18th. So let's just jump right into it. There are 15 different tournaments that we're going to cover that happened last week. Of course, there were a little bit more, but there was a few that either didn't happen or that were canceled. And so now that we're here, the first one being the ICF Season 2 Week 7. This tournament actually had a little bit of controversy in the very finals in which Color's connection disconnected from Comcast, and so she got the default loss, losing to MYK. And you'll also denote that this is the was part of the open beta test, which is denoted by that new icon in the bottom left. But it had 122 different entries, a little up from last week's, and they were able to hit the cap of $1,000. Remember, ICFC, each time that they make $1,000, any access goes into next week or into directly the hands of the tournament organizers, whatever they see fit. But most of the time they do roll it over to the next week to make sure that it's a more steady supply of actual payoffs to the top four competitors. And you can catch all that action on Level Up Your Game, which is going to be a very constant trend. We also had the Romanjelly Colosseum. This started up again. They had a pot of $100. I was unable to actually watch this, but the amount of entries compared to the payoff ratios, this is a very fine tournament if you're looking to get in. So hopefully we can bump these numbers up, especially because many of the other tournaments have closer to 40 entries. There's almost no reason why this isn't pulling in the same manpower as other tournaments. Thursday Throwdown, we finally have another Matcherino on May 13th. It only had 10 people sign up with over $100 in the pot bonus. This is just a big missed opportunity. I don't know why more aren't logging in. What was interesting about this is Elcid Vargas, DRS, were in the exact same positions as previously. Attack of Opportunity did a little bit better. I think he was 7th last week. So this has a very fine tuned amount of people over at Buffalo FGC Live, and you really need to try to attend this event. This has an incredible entry to payoff ratio, so why not kind of go for it, and goes with a standard 60-30-10 split for those payoffs. Then we have the Philly Gulag. This was our first team tournament and the only team tournament that we're going to be talking about today, in which was a 2 versus 2 with the Wasadi style. We have all the different teams over there. Seiko and Dante, not too big surprising that they were the winners, and it was just a 50-50 split from what I saw with the payoff matrix, but only $25, so not a lot of entries in this, which probably kept the prize pool low. It was very interesting, and I also like that they experimented with the single elimination, and so like it was supposed to be 2 or 3 games with each of the teams, and then with the single elimination format to go really quick. I actually think this is a pretty interesting format, especially because it forces fixed amount of, player A versus player A, and then player B versus player B. And then there's some strategy that goes into, okay, who plays a third game if we get to that style. So this is a really interesting format, and it should be promoted a little bit more, which is why we're talking about it. They also did have a Matcherino, so there's no excuse of why not to at least log in and donate to the cause to help out these players. Next, we have another Level Up Your Game event. This was the Dojo specific event held on March 14th. Not only was it Dojo, it was held on Matcherino 60-30-10, very standard, and they were able to raise over $100 with VDX pulling it up, and Joe Crush. Joe Crush actually had an amazing week with our tournaments, and AccuMajor showing up, of course, Shadow's showing up, and a lot of this entire roster could be a Final 8 in nearly any tournament. So this was a highly competitive tournament with 60 entries, so no wonder that kind of the big sharks actually came out to play, and they all performed exceedingly well. But this was what I promoted of the must-watch event was the King of Iron Mitten. This was a several-day tournament in which it started with round-robin events in which showcased Michigan talent. It was shown on 2 different Twitch channels, depending on the day, depending on the round group. And it was just really exciting because not only was there a lot of lore building with the individual players, but all these players are extremely talented and led to a really exciting top 8. That's why the entries were also locked at that 24, and once they got to the top 8, it no longer was round robin, but that was to be expected, and it was just a lot of fun. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch these VODs. If you didn't watch it live, you need to watch this action. This was kind of the epitome of a really well-run tournament, well organized, and phenomenal players. I have nothing bad to say about this event. It was incredible. And then we had the reversal. As I talked last week, I was seeing advertisements about this in very awkward places, in which I found out about it on Facebook, of all places. So this was held on May 15th, double elimination. Only 18 people signed up with a $500 guaranteed pop bonus. It looks like the reversal also holds 2 other game tournaments, but we're just going to focus on the Tekken series. And all I saw well, while watching the stream, he said that Joe Fury is taking home 70% of the pot, but I didn't hear of any other splits that were happening with that prize pool. So you're kind of missing a key ingredient of holding a tournament of what is the actual payoff matrix. But seeing Commanda also get up there is really good, and of course Joe Fury is just a beast. This is just easy money. It looks like it's held once a month opposed to weekly, so we're gonna try to check on it next week as the payoff ratio is ridiculous, and it doesn't seem like it's getting a lot of the press and the marketing that it deserves, especially for the money that's being put up. So the entries should be in the 60s easy for this payout. Then we had the Iron Sherpa. We talked about this last week. This is another points-based event in which they play about 3 games. Then at the end of the month, they have a tournament. In July, they'll have the grand finals fighting for $1,000 in the kind of pot pool. Haven't seen a payoff matrix for that, but this was the current standing or last week's events, and I didn't see a current standing kind of listing, and I haven't gone back because I don't even recall of how points were being assigned for each of the players. But El Negro, Bing Chan, we've already seen his name a bunch, and then the Jake Man and Valdezi Germanji, like this is getting the attention that it deserves. Really good players are in the top 8 and being shown. So check it out. It might be a little late for this season for the grand finals in July, unless you're planning on winning. So Joey Fury, this would be a really good thing. Cuddlecore, this would be a really good thing to try to get into to hopefully get some points and make it to the top 8 for the finals. But we'll see. Or maybe they do a top 4, I think is what they've done previously. But you can always catch out all the action on that triple victory. Then we have the Mishima Monthly. This was a really well put together event. Over $250 were raised. Emily was able to take it. Really exciting matches, hands down. I had this on in the background. I was going back and forth, but only having 20 entries, these numbers have got to improve. I don't know why more people aren't assigning to this. Mishima Monthly has been going on for quite a while. Really good payoff matrices. Breaks down as we see to the top 8. And what I like is that they don't take away money for first place, and so there's a much sharper curve from the first place down to the top 8. I kind of like that a lot more rather than more evenly kind of split. It just makes it a little bit more worthwhile to fight for that first place. So overall, and of course it was managed extremely well from the commentator side. Tournament ran smooth, had a match Reno, part of the open beta test. this was a really great event and really good players. And again, we see that Shadow, Mazen are making their rounds. So check it out. There was the Anakin Open. This was one of the most shadiest tournaments that I've seen in a very long time. Horribly run. Anakin really didn't know what he was doing, um, which is a damn shame because it had really phenomenal players. I'll just hit some highlights. I had over 20 comments about how just horribly run this tournament was. Not through me. This is 20 other players talking about the managerial skills were just awful. 64 entries, but 28 of those people were disqualified, and it reached 64 within the last hour of entries. With two other tournaments that were concurrently going on, and a lot of those players were in those other tournaments, and all they were fighting for was a t-shirt. If you're gonna watch this, just watch the top 8, because everything before it was just a giant shit show of him basically doing taxes and behind the scenes stuff, in which even in the chat members were saying, can you please let me help you, or like, what is this shit show? Like, it was truly awful. It sounds like someone has volunteered their time, which really is just taking advantage of people that want good content, because from my understanding, a lot of the open beta tournament organizers were given $500 to run this, and Anakin clearly didn't do his homework, clearly didn't know what he was doing. And this was very painful as he's part of 2 different sponsor teams of Red Bull and UYU. And so I reflect on those teams for not giving him the support. And if he didn't ask for it, then it's all on him. But this boy fucking needs help. Jesus Christ. Cyber Sun City, another very standard tournament. We're still not getting to the exact dollar amount that we should be getting to. It's not even making $20, but we still have a lot of really good talent. Alpha and Kagari, I think, stayed in the exact same places from previous week, but we still also see NREC and Ulpete getting up there. This is having 20 entries, so it does seem like a popular tournament. It's just not pulling in the dollar value. And I'm not entirely sure where that kind of gap in money is coming from. But this is looking to be a really exciting tournament. Yes, it is a Canadian base, but who the fuck cares? It's still North America, still a really great event, and clearly they've been very consistent of running for over a year now. So check it out. Even if you're not going to participate, they have the match arena, go in there and help these players. I know, I forget the exact cutoff. I think is when the prize pool gets above $25, that instead of being a winner take all, they start doing like a 60-30-10 split. So keep that in mind, that as the dollar value increases, the payout matrix is going to change slightly. IronMANE, I forgot to report on this last week. It just kind of slipped under the radar, so I apologize for that. This is held by Max Ninja 15. This is an extremely small tournament, and it needs buzz. He's putting up his own money. Started with $25, and then you can do community outreach. And this is another tournament. I think the bracket was, if $50 is the pot, then he'll start doing the 60-30-10 split, and that may have also been contributing to the amount of people that enter in. But FeedX was able to find this tournament as well as Ho. We've seen his name now a couple times. He's been competing in the open beta. But this needs to grow. I know IronMANE took a break and they're coming back. And so the wheels might be a little slow, but these entry numbers should very easy get to the 20s. So being sub 10 right now, I think, is just a marketing thing, and I really hope more players know about this tournament and start to support it, not just from the financial aspect, but just because this is a well-organized tournament, especially for small. If you're newer to the tournament scene, this is a great entry-level tournament, because you are going to run into some big names, but you're also going to have some opportunities to actually get deep into the tournament, as well as being streamed on Max Ninja. So check it out. And then this is also a phenomenal tournament. This kind of sprouted out of nowhere. I think that they gave 2 days notice, which is why we didn't talk about it last week, nor was it on the events page for the online beta. But Tasty Steve was also having the open beta test, his blue stuff battle, and in which he had a $500 pop bonus. And I think he even put up an extra $100 based on the amount of entries and everything else, in which it had 48 entries. I only think that we didn't hit 64 is because he only gave players 2 days to market and actually participate in this tournament. But this was a lot of fun. Again, we see NG Obscure. I really think he's a sleeper hit. He just needs to practice a little bit more. Even on his Twitter, he was talking about he plays once every 2 weeks. Yeah, I don't want to man crush too much more. He's a phenomenal player. And then, of course, FDX, Jumanji, Kaiser, Pastel, Shinblade, all making it to the top 8. This is a highly competitive tournament, and I'm really glad Tasty Steve put this together. Always a great entertainer, as well as he really gives back to the community. The only thing I didn't see was his actual payout matrix. The rules were a little sparse there, but $500 was in the pot, and maybe up to 6 or a little bit more. But if he ever holds another dojo again, and I think the standard rules are that the host can only once a month hold a dojo event. So maybe not this online beta because it'll end later this month, I believe. But once they start doing a longer dojo event, really check out Tasty Steve's events. One of the best entertainment values you're going to get. And then we have a little deviation. So generally at this point, I would be talking about Chai Tech, but Games Workshop, now that everything's getting more open, they reached out to Puppy Swarm to then host basically the GameWorks tournament series. And before everyone had to switch to online, that's where a lot of the Chicago players went, was the Games Works, and then they had their own tournaments. So this is just kind of going back to what previously was. Puppy Swarm did mention that Tech is looking at other events to hold, and more like kind of team battles, I think is what he talked about. But no official news yet. But until then, we're now going to start having the Fighting Games Workshop tournaments being presented. I think this is supposed to be a weekly, and I don't think it's region locked just to Midwest or Chicago. And we were still able to bring in 46 people. There was the pot of $100, and then more kind of evenly split between everyone. And I mean, this was a very cutthroat tournament. Emily, we actually wish that she had a little bit better showing, but still played very phenomenally. Rick the Ruler, haven't seen him in a while. He was rocking the bob again. FDX, of course, making top 8. El Negro, making it up there with Bing Chan and Jumanji. Just a really great event to pull in these numbers. The only thing that we need to kind of get in is community outreach to extend the pot is going to be kind of one of the better things for it. And then, as always, we're going to rank all the different tournaments based on the dollar value and entry levels, which we have presented here. The rankings are a little off. So the right side is a continuation of 8 through 15 or 14. But we see that ICFC, of course, is kind of our big dog, but it also has one of the worst people to actually pay out ratios, with the reversal and the Tastebuds having one of the better ones. And so if you're looking to do tournaments more full-time, of looking at how to benefit your own financial bank, look at these tournaments to actually see what your chances of winning are versus the actual payout that's going on. And then Mishima Monthly also has a very good ratio, while Level Up Your Game has one of the worst. And then just one last time, Anakin was the worst of having a t-shirt. So which moves on to the updated rankings for the online dojo. AccuMajor was #1 previous, but that was just with one tournament. He's now shifted to the second position, with Shadow being, even though he hasn't won a tournament, he's been very consistently in the top 8 with dojo events, which puts him in that first place. And we still have even a tie all the way down to the 16th place right now. So there's going to be a lot of movement within the last couple of weeks of this tournament series to actually show who's going to be in the top 8. And then I'm more excited to see what happens when we leave this post beta, in which more things get ironed out to actually hold this event and to encourage more competitive play. So upcoming events, we're going to quickly kind of go over this. First of all, created a section that's just for the online dojo. The Quiet Clash is coming up, ICFC Week 8, Digital Havoc, the Big E, Hungry for Battle, New York City Tekken PC, Ronin Rumble, and then the Equinox Online Dojo is coming up. So if you're interested in following all that dojo action, that's kind of what's listed. There was a previous tournament listed before, but then it got canceled for whatever reason. So if you're looking from last week to this week, that's why things are missing. And you can always check out the official standings on the website, but that's still not updating correctly. So I think that's one of the bugs that they're trying to fix. Or maybe they're just delayed. I don't know who's in charge of that, but it doesn't look like an automated system to me. So yeah. We also have the announcement of Ladies Night, Season 2. So this is being held on May 28th, so we still have a little bit of a time. This is restricted to females only, in which it's going to be streamed again on NYC Furby. So if you're interested in the women's only tournament of either signing up or supporting the cause, check it out. We also, it's very standard to have the Tekken Exchange #5. They still haven't posted the event. It may not happen this week, and more next week, but still put it on your calendars that the Tekken Exchange will be coming up for their monthly tournament. We also have the Black and Blue on June 5th. This is going to be an on-site event with King Ray and King Ray Jr., in which they've already talked about a pop bonus of $200 and a payout of 50, 30, 20. So if you are in that area, in the Jacksonville area, you need to help support kind of locals and kind of getting back to normal, as that's what's kind of the plan. And then again, just real quick, Combo Breaker Presents Look Alive is coming up very soon. If it's not on your calendar yet, put it on your calendar, check it out, help support a lot of content creators and other artists in the area. And I still haven't heard anything about tournaments or showcases, but I expect in the next few days we're going to hear a little bit more information about that. And then if you haven't already heard of it, in June, the Secret Garden offline event at the 404 Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. This is going to be a don't miss event. I haven't seen where it's going to be streamed, possibly on the 404 Esports Twitch, but those details there. So this was a quick rundown of the previous tournaments as well as upcoming events. If you think I missed something, leave it in the comment section. I'll make sure to look at it for future weeks. Until then, keep gaming, and we'll see you guys next time.